Welcome to the Manager Lab, where we delve into the increasingly dynamic world of talent management. In each episode, we will unravel key insights, break down the most relevant books and articles, and provide actionable tips to optimize your approach in developing and retaining top talent. Stay tuned for a deep dive into the art, science, and strategy of unlocking your team's full potential. Let's enter the Manager Lab. Have you ever noticed that burnout doesn't always look like exhaustion? Sometimes it looks like disengagement. Sometimes it looks like control. And sometimes it even looks like success. And according to a recent article from Harvard Business Review titled "Burnout Looks Different Across the Org Chart," watch out for these signs. Burnout is not a one-size-fits-all experience. It shows up differently depending on where someone sits in the organization. And that insight changes everything for managers. Because if burnout is invisible or misunderstood, you can't lead people through it. Today, we're going to unpack the key insights from this research and, more importantly, translate them into practical everyday tools that you can use to better support your team. So here's the core insight, the central idea, if you will. Burnout is not just about being overworked. It's about being misaligned, unseen, or unsupported. And crucially, it manifests differently at every level of the organization. So that means what burnout looks like in an entry-level employee is very different from how it appears in a manager, and even more different in senior leaders. If you're only looking for exhaustion, you're going to miss it. Great managers don't just look for fatigue, they look for behavioral shifts. And then segment number 2, burnout at different levels. Let's bring this to life. Number 1, individual contributors, the withdrawal burnout. At the front lines, burnout often looks like quiet disengagement or reduced initiative or just doing the minimum. These employees aren't necessarily complaining, they're just fading. What's really happening is that they've lost a sense of progress or purpose or recognition. And so managers need to understand to not make a mistake that silence is satisfaction. All right. Number 2, middle managers, what the article calls the overload burnout. Managers often experience burnout differently. Constant firefighting, decision fatigue, feeling squeezed between leadership and their team. They may appear busy, even high performing, but underneath they're overwhelmed and they're stretched too thin. So what's really happening here? They're carrying emotional labor from both directions. And so the manager takeaway, especially for senior leaders, is that your managers don't just need accountability, they need relief and they need clarity. And for senior leaders, the article talks about the isolation burnout. At the top, burnout can look very differently. It can look like detachment, cynicism, or maybe over-control or micromanagement. Leaders may become less empathetic or more rigid. And what's really happening here is that they feel like they're becoming isolated and responsible for everything and unable to show vulnerability. And so the manager takeaway here is that even your strongest leaders need connection and trust, not just results. Now, why does this all matter? If burnout looks different at every level, then a single solution does not work. Free lunches won't fix disengagement. Time off won't fix lack of purpose. And motivation speeches won't fix overload. The real leadership shift is this: from treating burnout as a wellness issue to treating it as a management responsibility. Burnout is often a signal of misaligned priorities, lack of clarity, poor communication, or just unsustainable expectations. And those are things managers can influence every single day. So here are some of the key takeaways. Number 1, burnout is behavioral before it's verbal. Most employees won't tell you that they're burned out, but they will show you. So watch for changes in energy, changes in engagement, and changes in attitude. Your job is to notice these things and then have a conversation. Number 2, one size doesn't fit all. What your high performer needs is not what your struggling employee needs. What your manager needs is not what you need. So great leadership is all about situational awareness and then situational adaptability. Number 3, prevention beats recovery. Once someone is deeply burned out, recovery takes a lot of time. But small, consistent leadership habits can prevent it, like very clear priorities, realistic workloads, and regular check-ins. Burnout isn't just something to fix, it's something to design against. Now, segment 5 is the actionable tools for managers, how to make this practical for you. Here's 3 tools that you can start using immediately. Tool number 1 is the weekly energy check. Instead of asking, how's everything going? Ask, what's giving you energy right now? Or what's draining your energy? And this simple shift does really 2 things. It surfaces burnout really early on in the process, and it focuses on sustainable performance, not just output. Do this once a week, especially with those that you are sensing they're just not quite right. Listen carefully and look for patterns. Tool number 2 is the stop, start, continue reset. We often talk about this tool. It's useful here as well. Once a month, ask your team, what should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And what should we continue doing? And in those questions, you're going to get at where disengagement is starting to take effect. Burnout often comes from unnecessary work, so this tool helps you to eliminate low-value tasks, reprioritize what matters, and then give your team a voice. Because clarity reduces burnout, complexity fuels it. So we want to get to clarity as soon as we can. And then the third tool here is called the top 3 priorities rule. At any given time, every team member should know what their top 3 priorities are. If everything is important, nothing is. So as a manager, align on the top 3 for each individual. Then reinforce them consistently through your weekly one-on-ones, and then deprioritize everything else. This reduces cognitive overload, it reduces decision fatigue, and it reduces stress. Focus is one of the greatest gifts you can give your team. Now, here's the leadership mindset shift that you have to take to get to the deeper truth here. Burnout is not just about capacity. It's about connection, clarity, and control. People burn out when they feel disconnected from purpose, unclear about expectations, or out of control of their work. And great managers restore those things, not with grand gestures, but with consistent, intentional leadership through intentional, consistent conversations. So, as you go into next week, I want to challenge you with this. Don't just ask, is my team performing well? Ask, how is my team experiencing their work? Because when people feel seen, when they feel supported, when they feel aligned, performance doesn't just improve, it becomes sustainable. And that's the kind of leadership that doesn't just drive results, it builds people. Burnout may look different across the org chart, but great leadership meets people exactly where they are. And when you learn to see that clearly, you gain the power to change it. Well, I hope this article has been interesting to you. And until next time we meet in the Manager Lab, do good work.